What's up with Jake and Fulton coming to you on a Thursday, inching towards the weekend, which has some huge games in the college world. We will get to plenty of action on the gridiron, covering the Kansas City Chiefs, both offensively and defensively. We will get to midway point over-unders, this time on the offensive side of things. We'll talk a little college football with Paul Myerberg. We'll get to that. We also will discuss a potential topic that high schools are going to have to discuss here recently with the Kansas Board of Education breaking some news today. We'll get to all of that on this edition of Mic'd Up. We'll hear from Steve Spags, Eric Bieniemy coming up here on this Thursday edition of Mic'd Up. As always, hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Also, let us know on Twitter at SportsOn580, SportsOn580. Check us out on Twitter, as well as on YouTube. You can subscribe as well to get all of our recaps and previews and reaction to all of local high school, Washburn, KU, K-State Chiefs, all of that up on our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com/@SportsOn580. Very simple, very easy to interact with us. Leave something in the comment section as well. Love to get your thoughts on this Thursday edition. We are going to start, though, with the Kansas City Chiefs, and we are going to go with chicken or the egg. Is it good or is it bad? There is some good. There's also some bad, and what would you prefer? And the reason I bring this up is right now, when you think of the Kansas City Chiefs defense, your first thought is they don't get enough pass rush. And that's understandable. It is. That's understandable. But then secondly, you're like, I mean, they've been pretty good. But what they have been bad at and good at is now on the macro level, but also on the micro level. According to the advanced numbers, the Kansas City Chiefs get better on defense later in the game, much like against the Tennessee Titans. Early on, they were getting blasted, destroyed, trucked, dominated. In the second half, they got much better. Now, let's say, well, Malik Willis is at quarterback. That don't count. You're correct.
That's fair.
All right, let's do another example. The previous game, San Francisco 49ers. 49ers running the football, leading the game, taking care of business. In the second half, Kansas City Chiefs. Well, what do you know? They find a way to they got the job done. They gave up 13 points in the second half. And that last 7 points honestly didn't matter. I mean, let's be real. Played very well in the second half. Much better. All right, cool. What about the Raiders? All right. Oh, gosh. She's down 17-0. It's not looking good. Second half, they give up 9 points. That's it. 9 points in the second half. You're going to win a lot of games if you give up 9 points. By the way, they really only gave up 3. Chiefs were up by... I mean, Devontae Adams scored at the end of the game with 4 minutes to go. I mean, defense had to hold on, but played well. Played very well. Arizona Cardinals, kind of the opposite. They dominated that game from start to finish. Same thing with the Bucs. But overall, if you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they get better as the game goes on. They struggle, and we all know every football team does this. Going to high school, you script your first 15 plays. And then after that, it's kind of on your own. Now, when you script 15 plays, if the first play is a pass play and the second play is a run play, let's say you get sacked for 8 yards. I wouldn't suggest running the ball the next play. So sometimes you can vary on that first scripted 15. But the Chiefs get dominated up front and really don't do well to start the game. That's why they have so many games where the opposing team scores first. But then they figure it out. That's the macro side of things. Now let's go on the micro side of things. The Chiefs are not good on first down defensively. They're not. That's third down defense is, to me, the most important down overall. But man, if you are able to hold a team to a yard, your chances of getting a stop on third down are much greater because it's not going to be 3rd and 2. It's going to be 3rd and 8. The Chiefs are not good on first down defense. Sometimes they're not great on second down defense. But what they are pretty decent at is third down defense. They are. They're pretty good at it. You want to take away the... I hate doing this, but it's not every game is created equal. Malik Willis. No. Come on now. They made 5. I mean, they completed 5 passes. But the Chiefs, they're around 36% on defense, giving up third downs, which is not elite, but they've been pretty good on third down. Yep. And so the macro is you've got bad in the first quarter, second quarter, but great in the second half. It's kind of the opposite of what has occurred for the Chiefs, here recently. It's always been the end of the game. Can they get the big stop? Can they find a way to get the defense outside of one game this year? And that's against the Buffalo Bills and one of the best offenses in the NFL at that point in time. You can understand that. But overall, in the second half, they've been very, very good. Same thing on just the 1st and 10, not great. Third down, they've been pretty darn good. They have. So to me, that brings up 2 questions. They are great at making adjustments and finding the rhythm of the game and understanding what they're trying to do. That's a real big positive. It really is. That you're able to, hey, they're cutting across our face, or they're trying to do this, or, hey, let's switch up the defense instead of playing a zone. Let's go man. Maybe we need to blitz more, blitz less. We need to get this guy on this matchup. You know what I mean? That is a huge positive. In-game adjustments are a big bonus if you can do that. But let's flip it. Why do you suck to start games? Is it a bad game plan? Or you go into the game going, we think this is what is going to work. We feel like if we do this, this is the best chance that we believe will stop them from gaining yards and points. Well, we did our whole entire, basis of our game plan on Monday and Tuesday. We install it Wednesday. Now we got Thursday and Friday, part of Saturday. And now we're like, yeah, this is it. Turns out it sucks. That is a problem. That is. Because in the playoffs, you cannot start out that slow. It helps because you have Patrick Mahomes and he is a miracle worker when you get down 10 points. Fun fact, remember, if the Chiefs ever get down 10 points, bet the money line for the Kansas City Chiefs because more often than not, they're going to end up winning the game. Just a little gambling advice for you. Now granted, you're going to have to do this time and time again for it to pay off. But we know that if Chiefs get down 10 with Patrick Mahomes, they are more likely than not coming back and winning that game. I think it's more important that you have a better second half and finish and make adjustments. I think that is more important because your offense, majority of the time, is going to figure it out, and your offense is always going to keep you in games, and that's why you just need to limit the damage. If you start out bad, that's okay. It's helpful that you got 15 there. But being able to be that good at second half adjustments, and this graph that I'm looking at where it's got the x-axis and the y-axis, and then they make it very clear. Like if you're in the upper right-hand corner, right? The little graph, upper right-hand corner. That means you get better later on in the game. All right? In the second, third, fourth quarter. If you're in the lower left portion of it, you suck. That's where the Carolina Panthers, the Jaguars, and the Baltimore Ravens. How many leads have they blown this year? Not a lot. Whereas you look up in the upper right-hand corner, it's the Chiefs. And, not anybody else is kind of near them. The Colts are there because the Colts defense is actually not terrible. The problem is they can't score. But that's what is something that this Chiefs defense is dealing with right now, is that struggle early, but then kick ass late. That's what they are doing so far in 8 games. And it is a very strong, that is what they are doing numbers wise. Now, let's see if your eyes give you that same, reasoning. And I think it does. I really, really do. It ain't good that they suck early. Spags got to do something to figure that out. Or once teams get done with their first scripted 15 plays and what they like and what they think is going to work, they can't keep duplicating it. Whereas the Chiefs now, all right, we know what you're going to do. We're going to shut you down. That's what they did against the Titans. That's what they did against the 49ers. That's what they did against the Raiders. That's what they did against the Chargers. That's a nice thing to have.
It is. And I think more of this idea they get stronger as they get better as they get later. I don't think it's really a concept of maybe they're just not game planning properly to start games. I think one, it's an indicator of just good adjustments when they can make it. I think the other part is that this is just a group of guys that need a minute to settle in. And I think the Tennessee Titans game is a perfect example of that. Because majority of the big plays the Titans had early on in the game, the players were there to make stops. They just didn't tackle anyone. They won the very first play of the game with Okoro. They had him at the line of scrimmage. Just 5 dudes couldn't tackle. That's it. They had the play stopped. Think about Derrick Henry's first big run. The hole was blocked. Just no one tackled him. And I think that's the bigger thing is I'm not saying this is a good trait to have. It's really not. But I think this is just a group of guys that actually kind of need a minute to settle in. You hope it doesn't have to last this way the rest of the year, but they need a second to kind of get in the flow and get in the groove. And once they get in it, they get stronger. It is very similar to an ace starting pitcher in baseball. They always say if you get him rocked in the first inning, you need to get to him then. You got to get to him before he settles in, because then if he does, you are screwed. That's kind of what this Chiefs defense is. You need to get as much as you can off of them before they settle. Early on, you need to take advantage of every opportunity. Because once they settle, life's about to get real hard for you. And that's what, the Colts, they were benefited by Chiefs' bad offense, but early on, they were able to get some points early and then were very screwed till deep late. But overall, they made it work. You look at the Raiders, they did a decent job capitalizing early, but it wasn't enough because then they realized we couldn't keep going.
Yeah, I think it's so much on the opposing teams. They need to make the adjustments to what the Chiefs are doing, because you have to keep doing it for the whole entire game. You cannot stop scoring. Ask the Raiders, ask the Titans. Ask the Chargers. You got to keep scoring. And the one game that the Chiefs had a giant, meltdown offensively was the Colts.
And they still almost won.
Yeah. So I thought that's fascinating stuff to me for the Kansas City Chiefs defense. It ain't good that they get run out of the gym early on, but man, that's pretty impressive that you can battle back. And it's that micro third down defense. They've been pretty good, whereas first down defense, not so much. Coming up next, the Board of Education here in the state made a decision. Well, more of a recommendation. We're going to get to that could affect up to as many as 30 high schools. We'll get to that next. Earlier today, the Kansas Board of Education made a ruling here in the state. Kansas Board of Education has voted to recommend that all public schools in the state eliminate Native American mascots and imagery within 5 years. The vote was 7-1 and 2. 7-4, 1 no, 2 abstain. Michelle Dombrowski voted no. Ben Jones and Gene Clifford abstained. Real quick, I don't know who Ben Jones, I don't know who any of these people are. But unless maybe they went to one of these schools that has the Native American mascot, that's why they abstained. The whole point of you being on the board is for you to make a decision.
Abstaining kind of goes against the concept of you making a decision.
You can't be on the board of education, and then when a topic comes up, you're like, yeah, I ain't taking part in this. No, you're there to make a decision. Like, that's why you're there. Anyways, getting past that. This is going to be interesting for a lot of reasons. Number one, there are around 31 schools in the state that have Native American mascots or related to it or imagery. Okay. Some more than others when it comes to what you put out there as your logo. Now, it says here, recommend.
That's the key word to all of this.
Hey, Fulton, I recommend you run a mile every single day.
Yeah, Jake, I don't think I'm going to do that every single day. Appreciate the recommendation.
Okay. If your doctor says to you, Fulton, I'm going to need you to run a mile every day.
Yeah, that word I'm a need means it looks like my butt is running a mile every day.
And it all depends on how you view it from the person who's telling you. If I tell you, hey, Fulton, go run a mile.
Oh.
No, your doctor.
Yeah, a lot different.
Same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
How many of these 31 schools will say the Board of Education? That's not,
that isn't a couple of concerned parents emailing me, which their opinions are valid, but it's different.
It's different coming from the Board of Education.
That controls a lot of how things go for them.
Yes. And also, some will just say, no, we're not doing it. Kick rocks. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Now, also, factor this in. Money.
Mm-hmm.
Image on the football field, image on the basketball court, image on all of the places in the school, on the walls, on the floors, jerseys, everything like that.
It ain't cheap to completely rebrand yourself.
Case in point around here, right? The Shawnee Heights Thunderbirds. I don't put together Thunderbirds and Indian Native American culture. I don't. Like, if you look at it, though, but the definition of Thunderbird is...
It's from Native American folklore.
Yeah. In the mythology of some Native American Indians, a huge eagle-like bird capable of producing thunder, lightning, or rain. So, but I don't consider that. Whereas you got, Liberal or Smith Center, this is going to get ugly.
Yes.
And it all comes down to the word recommend. I wonder how this is going to work out. I really, really do. Coming up, we're going to talk all things college football with Paul Myerberg. It is time for our Big 12 breakdown brought to you by the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence, right there on Clinton Parkway. You can go check out the Jayhawks and the Red Raiders there at 23rd Street Brewery on Clinton Parkway coming up this Saturday. Great place to catch a game in Lawrence. We bring in Paul Myerberg. He is our Big 12 insider. Nobody does it better than Paul Myerberg from USA Today, USA Today Sports. Follow him on Twitter at Paul Myerberg. Paul, the Kansas Jayhawks are going to a bowl game. They get to actually look at bowl projections. Where does this rank on your, oh my God, I can't believe that's happening meter?
Yeah, he had said in August that they were going to get the 6 wins. I would have asked, what are you drinking? What are you having? Let's talk. I don't think anyone saw this coming. This is the bowl eligible Kansas Jayhawks, by the way, and I really feel like for maybe ever, or at least for the foreseeable future, that needs to be the entire name. It's not Kansas, it's not the Jayhawks. It's the bowl eligible Kansas Jayhawks. Look, we spoke for a couple of weeks. I think ever since 5-2 about, or maybe even 5-1 about, hey, it's really important here. This is not going to win a national championship team. This is not even a Big 12 champ team. You got to get to a bowl game for the reputation of it and the recognition that you get from it. So having gotten there, the next step is a winning season. And you beat Texas Tech on Saturday. I mean, shoot, you've got a winning season in Lawrence. So it's an incredible accomplishment. Saturday was what we've expected all year. Struggles sometimes on defense, but a couple key turnovers. They pounded the ball on the ground. A couple explosive plays. Just all together a really impressive win and a great way to not back into 6 wins, but really earn it by dominating a top 25 team.
This just it makes it more impressive what Lance Leipold has done is, no coach there had won more than 3 games in a season since '09, and he doubles it and gets to 6. And I'm glad there's some recognition. College Game Day went to KU. I think this is something that KU really can build upon going forward, and it makes the Big 12 that much more interesting because you don't have a guaranteed win every year.
No, you definitely don't. I mean, this year your guaranteed win is West Virginia or Iowa State. I mean, you talk about the Cyclones; they got their first win impressively over the weekend, and I think that every single time they've stepped on the field, even at 1-5, they've been in almost every single game. They could easily be 4-2 or 3-3 in the league. The fact that TCU is at the top of the Big 12, I believe, because TCU is not nationally respected and hasn't been all year, I think it's coloring the perception of the league as a whole, based off this idea like, hey, if we don't watch these games, if we don't watch these teams, the fact that TCU is winning the Big 12 means the Big 12 is garbage. That's not the case. The Big 12 is not the SEC, it's not the Big 10, but it's definitely not the ACC either. This is a very solid, very strong league that by year's end, I mean, you could have 3 teams in the top 25 at the end of the year. You could have 4. You're certainly going to have at least 6 and maybe 7 or maybe even 8 bowl teams. So it's a really strong league. And the fact that Kansas is at 6 wins is not a reflection of the fact that the Big 12 isn't good. It's more a reflection of the Jayhawks' progress because they've come a really far way in a really short amount of time under Leipold.
Devin Neal, I feel bad for Devin Neal because Devin Neal is a terrific running back, and he doesn't get the recognition because the Big 12 is running back conference right now. I mean, they got 4 legit running backs, and Devin Neal might be the most underrated out of all of them.
He had a show on Saturday, and you're right. I mean, when you have Bijan Robinson and Deuce Vaughn, I mean, let's not even go any deeper than that. Just those 2 dudes, I mean, that may be your first team or at least maybe first and second team All-American picks. So it's hard to get some press. What he did on Saturday, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I would struggle to think of another guy, and maybe Bijan is the guy who went 200, 100 as a receiver in the same game. I mean, just a dynamic and an incredible moment. I don't know what this means for his role going forward, but it's very clear, very, very clear that he can ball. And I wouldn't be surprised if KU looks at November the rest of the way and thinks, hey, let's see what happens when we give Devin Neal the ball 25 times a game. Because for the life of me, I don't think he's gotten at least 20 touches in a game so far, even if he's been pretty productive on a per touch basis. So I'd like to see them do that. And him and Bean together, obviously, it's a really great combination. So Devin Neal's not going to be a guy who registers nationally. He's not going to be an all-conference pick or maybe honorable mention. But he's a really nice young running back who I think's got a pretty bright role going forward for KU this year and going forward.
Let's go with the game against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech a little bit in flux right now. They're not playing the best. Their quarterback situation is up in the air. But I wonder about the emotional letdown. Like the whole goal this year, once they started 5-0, was get one more win. Well, you get one more win. Maybe do you feel a little different because now the rest of these games are just, okay, how good is our record? I think there's a little bit of that in play going on the road, taking on Texas Tech. How do you see this game?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's always hard for us to give a really accurate projection or prediction of what the mindset is going into the game. But I think we can say very safely, KU is going to have an emotional letdown. And not to say they're going to come out and lose by 40 or not show up at all, but it's only natural as a team to set this benchmark for yourself, reach it, and then ask, what's next? And Texas Tech is coming from the absolute opposite perspective. The game against TCU, which they did not have in the bag, but certainly were in position to win that game, that's very reflective of their season in the Big 12 outside of the Baylor game. They've been in a lot of games, but right now they're 4-5. They got KU, Iowa State, Oklahoma left. They got to win 2 or 3 to go to a bowl game. So they're looking at this as our backs are against the wall. I think they respond that way. If I had to pick this game, I would pick Texas Tech, not because necessarily they have more to play for, but I do think that at times they've been in control of games against teams that are probably a little bit better than KU, unable to hold on. So I think it's a good matchup. It's a good test for KU. They do have things to play for. I mean, it's a bowl spot. It's your bowl slot in the conference. It's 7 wins or 8 wins or even 9 wins. But Texas Tech is a team on the brink, and they got to have it. And I think year one with Joey McGuire, I think he knows how to push these buttons, and they come out and and they play a little bit more of a frenzied style. I think TCU, they took their foot off the gas, tried to kind of milk it down the line, and it didn't pay off. So I think Texas Tech does win, but don't let that take away what KU has achieved and what they will still achieve. They can still win 8 games.
We're talking with Paul Myerberg from USA Today, part of our Big 12 breakdown, brought to you by the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. Go check them out on Clinton Parkway, 23rd Street Brewery. Let's go to the disappointing side of things. Kansas State had everything right there for the taking. You beat Texas. You could even lose one of the last 2 games, and you're going to be in a good spot. What went wrong in that first half?
Yeah, what went wrong in the first half is an inability to get off the field. I mean, you're giving up 75-yard drives back to back to back to back. And I just think that's not a sustainable method or a model for your defense. And even if you rally in the second half and you've kind of figured things out, you dig yourself into a hole. I mean, we talk about this all the time. There are very, very, very few teams in the Big 12 and nationally who could face a top 25 opponent, go down by 14 or 17 or even 21 points, and come back and win that game. Kansas State specifically or uniquely is not equipped to do that. And you can't put Adrian Martinez in a situation where he needs to make every single play in the book to win the game. The issues on defense is not getting off the field on third down. It's allowing short gains, 7-yard, 8-yard gains on the ground, which tally up, tire your defense, keep your offense on the sideline. And by the time you get to the third quarter and you start to focus, it's just too late. It's a missed opportunity, absolutely, because you could have punched your ticket to the Big 12 championship game with a win. However, in the grander picture, the New Year's Six is still in play for Kansas State. That was the goal going into last weekend. It's still in the mix. Just got to have Texas lose once, and you'll get there, because obviously if you beat Baylor, you go 7-2 in the league. You take care of it for your own part. Kansas State can still get there. I've asked before, and we've talked about it. How do they respond? What's the response from a mental side of things? We know from the TCU loss that they're mentally strong. We know from the second half against the Longhorns that they're mentally tough. I do think Kansas State bounces back and gets where they need to be, but they're going to need help. And that comes down to Texas, TCU on the weekend. If Texas wins that game, it's probably pretty clear that Kansas State's going to come up short, at best finish third in the league.
Did they start the right guy at quarterback, or it doesn't matter when you give up 31 in the first half?
Yeah, I want to make an argument for Howard, and I think the argument might be when you look back at Howard's full start 2 weeks ago, or almost 2 weeks ago. I think you saw more balance on offense and the opportunities that provided other offensive skill players to get involved. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that when Adrian's under center, that he's the guy, out of 70 or 72 plays, the ball's in his hands 50 times, as was the case on Saturday. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you might see a little bit more variety of who gets involved in offense when Will Howard's under center, for better or for worse. I'm not going to make that determination. I think Martinez gives you the best chance to win on Saturday and moving forward. So I'm not going to question the start, but again, it's easy to, guys, because we saw what Howard achieved, and obviously we were a lot of us had our jaws on the floor based off how well he played. But I'm not going to second guess it. I think Martinez is the guy. He's the best starter for Kansas State.
The big thing that bums me out was K-State goes to the locker room at the end of the game losing with 2 timeouts. How important in the grand scheme of things at the end of the game are coaching decisions? I mean, because they call the play, hey, players make the plays. Coaches try to help call the plays and such, but I just can't get over you just completed 4th and 5. You have the ball first down, ball's at the 35-yard line, 35 seconds left. It was 4th down. Your team is gassed. You don't call a timeout. You rush to the line of scrimmage. The offensive line gets beat. Martinez was clearly rattled. He just fumbled the football out of bounds on the 2 previous plays. How do you not call timeout there to just get your ducks in a row?
Yeah, this is the question that everyone had at the end of that game. It's easy as we do to second guess what's happening outside of the moment, but even just from a simplistic point of view, when they got to the 50, no, let me take a step back. That third and very long, if I have my time right, they were in their own territory about the 40 with about just under a minute left. There is no reason why you don't call a timeout going into 4th down. I don't understand that, because it leaves you about 30 seconds left. And there's no reason coming out of that 4th down conversion, even when the clock stops, to either We're at the 43 with 30 seconds left. We're going to spike it, take our time, take a breath and relax, or we're going to come to the sidelines altogether. You don't ever want to leave timeouts in your pocket. You don't want to leave any points on the field, all these adages. But when you're driving late and this is an emotionally charged moment and you have the other team a little bit on their heels, there is still an advantage in taking a deep breath as an offense and taking a look at, here's what our first play is going to look like on first down. Here's what our second play looks like. On third down, I want you to look to me. I'm going to give you one of two plays. Typically, when you get late in the game and you call a timeout, you're not just mapping out what we're going to do on the next play. It's what we're going to do on the play after that and the play after that. And if it's fourth down, it's the play after that. So you get mentally set. I think the issue, like you mentioned with that final drive, is they got rattled from a timing perspective. And I think they got rattled in terms of we need to go on the snap instead of trying to take a deep breath. They lost this game because it was 31-10. I don't want to put it on that drive, but it certainly could have been handled better. And I think they do need to take a step back and realize, hey, let's take a minute in practice this week, work on our 2 minutes or work on our 1 minute and try to get in the mental state of play that we need to be in to win these kind of games in that spot.
They take on Baylor. Baylor's playing well. They've won 3 in a row right now. The one thing that the Cats have not been able to do is stop the run. And Baylor starting to run the football. They got 31 rushing touchdowns. They average 44 attempts a game, over 200 yards. This is a scary one. Can K-State beat Baylor, and do you think they do, or does Baylor hold on and get the win?
Yeah, I think Baylor is a team that, like you mentioned, is really playing well. And if you look back at their schedule, I think we dismissed Baylor because of those 3 losses. But if you look at the games, every single one of them could have been a win. I'm not saying they should have won them, but they could have easily won every one of those games. They'd be 9-0 or 8-1 or 7-2 or whatever. It's a tough matchup for Kansas State, and it comes down to 2 things. You nailed the first one. It's not about stopping the run. I don't think you can look at Baylor and the success that they've had on the ground almost all season, and certainly in this 3-game winning streak, and say, all right, we're just going to stop them. They've got like 15 rushing touchdowns in their last 3 games. I mean, give me a break. It's insane. They're just pounding people on the ground. And better yet, they're sticking to the run. I think that gives you an idea of what this offense will look like at full capacity under Shapen, is that they want to focus on the run. Kansas State doesn't need to stop them. They need to win on first down. They need to keep it 3rd and 6. They need to make Shapen win the game with his arm. They got to avoid turnovers. I mean, if you give Baylor, with the way this offense rolls, one short field, or you don't capitalize on one of your scoring opportunities in their red zone because of a fumble or a pick or a missed field goal or whatever, that's a recipe for disaster. I'm picking Baylor in this game, not because I think Baylor's the better team or because I don't think Kansas State can win the game. When you look at these 2 teams, the way they've played recently, I just think that Baylor's got more wiggle room. They got more room for error because of the way they play and the way that they've progressed on offense than Kansas State does. So it feels like a safer pick. The winner of this game, I look at Baylor wins, they play Texas final Saturday. That decides who goes to the championship game. If Kansas State wins and TCU wins, K-State's back in the championship game. There's a lot on the line that I don't think people are paying attention to nationally because there's a New Year's Six bowl probably or possibly on the line with this game.
The other big game, Texas is favored by 7 over TCU. We know their offense, if it's rolling, is really good. And I'm referring to Texas. How do you see Texas TCU? Can TCU keep undefeated? And by all means, they're ranked 4th right now. And you play Texas and you play Baylor, and then you're going to play another really good team in the Big 12 title. If they go undefeated, they're in the college football playoff. Especially if you're ranked 4th and you play 3 more ranked teams. Can they do it? Can they beat Texas? And why is Texas a 7-point favorite?
I think Texas is a 7-point favorite because TCU, let's just be frank, they're 9-0. All credit to them. God bless. But they probably shouldn't be 9-0. They've got several, not just 1, not 2, 3, 4, or more games this season where things could have gone south, and give them credit. A lot of teams go down to 18 points to Kansas State and want to go home. TCU does not. So there's a confidence there that we've talked about all year. You cannot count them out. I think Texas wins this game because TCU's time is kind of on borrowed time. We've seen it for a while. Texas is playing a very high level of football. Are they a complete team yet? No, but I think they're individual guys on defense who can make plays. The offense is clearly pretty much farther ahead than the defense. So I think Texas does win this game. TCU, just to reiterate your point, do not worry if you're a Big 12 person. TCU at 13-0 is getting into the college football playoff. Like it's not even funny. Let's not even play that game. At 12-1, however, it gets pretty dicey. So every win is a must-win for TCU to guarantee it. At 12-1, especially if that one loss comes in the Big 12 championship game, that's a little bit of an unsafe bet based off what you're seeing in the SEC and the Big 10.
So you like? Do you think now it'll be Texas and TCU in the Big 12 title game?
I think that's the safest pick, guys. I really do, just based on the fact that Texas gets TCU at home, Texas down the way. Look, I mean, I'm not going to say that they're going to beat Baylor, but they do get Baylor in Austin. I mean, it's right after Thanksgiving. There'll probably be like 65 people there. But I do think that Texas has the safest and the clearest road to get there. But again, like, that's me just assuming they're going to beat TCU. Like, oh, let's just pencil a win in there. If you know anything about TCU, I mean, we've been doubting them all year. They very clearly could win this game. But Texas is the safest pick at this point to get there. If not, Kansas State beats Baylor. It's the Wildcats, and maybe the Wildcats go to a major bowl. I think that's definitely a possibility.
All righty, my final two for the road for you, Paul. What are the chances that the SEC gets 3 teams in to the college football playoff?
They're not zero. Like, they're like probably in the single-digit percentage, but it's not ridiculous. And the road is actually really simple. Georgia goes 12-0 going into the SEC championship game, and Tennessee goes 11-1. LSU goes 10-2, beats Georgia. I'm just saying. I'm telling you, they are not keeping an SEC champion out of the playoffs if they're 11-2, even with 2 losses. LSU is getting in, absolutely. So that's your road there. Does it need help? Yeah, like Michigan or Ohio State needs to get blown out in that game. That knocks them out. Oregon needs to lose to SC or UCLA or whomever down the road. That knocks them out. TCU's got to lose. But I guarantee you, it's not that far-fetched. The SEC can absolutely get 3 teams in. If that happens, God help us all. But it could happen.
Then my next question. Do we see a 2-loss team in the college football playoff?
Yeah, and that 2-loss team is either LSU at 11-2, or it's Alabama. And Alabama gets there by beating Ole Miss and beating Auburn and finishing 10-2, and then LSU losing both to Arkansas and Texas again because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker. It's possible for Alabama, very, very unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
But LSU could get in with 2 losses. They would be the first, and I think they'd be uniquely qualified to do so based off the wins they will have collected down the way.
There's so many things because the Pac-12 is actually going to be exciting football because USC and UCLA, one of them is going to eliminate the other, and then Oregon might beat them all, and Oregon might end up in the title game. You still got Michigan and Ohio State could both make it in there, despite one of them losing to each other. Like I want chaos. I want everyone to have one loss. I want Tennessee to run the rack. I want Georgia to lose a game. I want everybody to lose a game except for TCU, and I want them to be the number 1 seed.
That would be fantastic. Look, you may very well get your wish. A team from the Pac-12 is going to have a very strong resume, specifically if that's Oregon. Down the way, Oregon plays 2 teams in this week's playoff rankings, Washington and Utah, both at home. They play an Oregon State team. They'll probably will be 7-4 going into the finale. And then they're going to play a 2-loss team like USC or UCLA in the championship game, or even maybe a 1-loss team from that group. So Oregon, they're sitting number 6 right now in the rankings. If they run the table and they're 12-1, their only loss was to Georgia under unique circumstances. Yeah, that's the chaos that could really, really make things very controversial, specifically in SEC country, because they're thinking Tennessee's in. They're going to be 11-1. They're in. Not quite. I think Oregon, if they run the table, went out, they're going to finish ahead of Tennessee. And make that very, very hard for the committee to evaluate. But they're going to make it hard because I think Oregon right now is playing as well as anybody in the country.
Paul, as always, we appreciate the time. You're the absolute best. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Talk next week.
Paul Myerberg, USA Today. Nobody does a better job. That 20 minutes, you won't get better insight. That's fantastic. Got Tech and Baylor over KU and K-State this weekend. Not ideal. Coming up, we'll get to the Chiefs' offense is historic. is hour number 2 here of Mike Up. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. Want to thank Paul Myerberg for coming on, talking all things Big 12 football for our Big 12 breakdown, brought to you by the 23rd Street Brewery there in Lawrence. You can go watch KU Hoops tonight at the 23rd Street Brewery. KU taking on the Bison of North Dakota State.
Should be fun for one of those teams.
The Bison have already faced 10th ranked Arkansas. Lost by 18.
Okay, good for them.
Arkansas can play.
Yeah, Arkansas can play some ball. The Hogs are good.
Mm-hmm. Hogs pretty good. Ranked 10th in the country. So you've got KU versus NDSU tonight. K-State, they play Cal on the road up in Berkeley coming up on Friday. We will get to Everyone Loves the List. Yesterday was National Chicken Sandwich Day. I love a good chicken sandwich.
Did you enjoy a chicken sandwich yesterday
Yes.
for National Chicken Sandwich Day?
Did I? No.
Okay.
No. So we're going to go with our favorite chicken sandwiches. Very simple, very easy.
Should spark no arguments, no controversy whatsoever.
None at all. We are going to hear from the Kansas City Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo and Eric Bieniemy as they met with the media a little bit ago. So we'll get to that coming up as well. But right now, we are some huge news coming down the pipe.
Oh, breaking news down the pipe.
The Colts might beat the Raiders. Like, legitimately, the Colts might beat the Raiders. They are the third team in NFL history to hold a 30 points per game average that long. They joined the Los Angeles Rams 93 straight games from 47 to 56. honestly, that might be the most impressive thing is that a team.
Yeah, scoring 30 points per
for
game in the
47 to
40s and 50s is really
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. That's crazy. And this is also insane because you think of the Patriots as being a defensive team, but from 2006 to 2018, that's 190 games, which is more than double the current stretch for the Chiefs. The Patriots averaged 30 points per game from 06 to 18. Now, it helps out that in 07, they had that monster season, just like the Kansas City Chiefs got helped out in 2018. The Chiefs are averaging 30 points per game this year. They have 243 points in 8 games. That is 30 points per game. Last year, they averaged 28.2. 2020, they averaged 29.6. 2019, they averaged 28. Now you're going, Jake, how does 30 points, 28, 29, and 28, how are you getting averaging 30? You got to remember, in 2018, the Kansas City Chiefs averaged 35 a game. 35 a game. So you add that 5 to 29, 28, 28.
Get to 30.
You get to 30. You got 30 this year. Okay, so 2, 4, 5. Yeah, that's from 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. They've averaged 30 a game. 2017, they averaged 26 a game. But at the end of the year, the offense ticked up, and that's where you go back to 78 games. So this Chiefs offense over a 78-game span, or realistically, since Mahomes is starting at quarterback, they are averaging 30 points per game. Third in NFL history. What you are witnessing when the Chiefs take the field at Arrowhead on Sunday, they are one of the 3 best offensive dynasties in NFL history. And it's over a 5-year span. Or Patrick Mahomes' career and like 5 games of Alex Smith.
It's insane.
It helps. Right now, they're better this year on offense, scoring the football than the 3 previous years. Like, nobody would believe that. But remember, the game against the Titans, Chiefs wide receivers can't get open. What is Andy Reid doing? We can't run the ball. Yet they're averaging 30 points per game. And they're averaging 30 points per game despite missing 5 field goals and 3 extra points. I know you're not going to make every one of them. I understand that. I do. But I expect you to make every extra point. Unless we're playing in a giant windstorm. Remember when Buffalo played in that wind game against the Patriots?
Yeah.
And the Patriots ran it every play but 3. You remember that game?
Oh, I remember. It was fun. It was entertaining.
That game, I'm all right with, okay, you missed a field goal. But Butker should make, field goals. I mean, you should make every one of your extra points. It's a 35-yard field goal. You're a professional. Make the field goal. The other thing, I thought this was more so because it involves Tom Brady, and our NFL media loves Tom Brady. But they brought up dropped passes. And I was like, oh, okay, drop passes. Right now, the Bucks have dropped the most passes. And that's actually pretty substantial. Then it's the Jets, which sucks for Zach Wilson. He might be looking a lot better if they catch the ball. Then the Chargers, and I was like, oh, where are the Chiefs at? The Chiefs have had 20 drops this year. That's top 10 in the league. Imagine if they caught the football. They've had 20 drops in 8 games. You do the math.
And we know at least one of those drops was an actual touchdown when Travis Kelce dropped the touchdown against the Colts.
I wonder if they called that a drop. I would call it a
Oh,
drop.
they should have. I can find out pretty easily.
I would call it a drop.
I would too.
I mean, I would.
Luckily, our friends at Pro Football Reference will make this very easy to find, because
That was a drop. I expect Travis Kelce to make that.
They chart drops. So
I mean, it was a tough catch, but I expect my, best tight end in the league to adjust his body and catch the football. But the McCole Hardman drop.
Yep.
Travis Kelce leads to an interception drop. We've seen, Juju had a drop.
I would have to say they're counting as the drop because he does have a drop registered for the Colts game. He had a drop against the Colts, which was that touchdown.
Unless he dropped another one in there and they determined that one was
weird.
Was
here's
a
fun fact. I looked this up. How many drops do you think Travis Kelce was credited with in the game against Tennessee?
2,
Higher.
3,
Higher.
4.
Correct.
4?
Would have to go back, look at the film. Pro Football Reference does not tell you exactly which play. It would be a little bit of a deeper dive here to break down specifically.
Really?
But he was credited with 4 drops in the game against Tennessee.
I know 2 of them.
We know 2 of them. He had the one play at the end of the game trying to put the ball at midfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had the one that turned into an interception.
That's the only 2 that I could think of.
There might have just been 2 that we didn't think of at this moment in time. Because those were the 2 most significant. Because you don't think of insignificant drops, but they exist. They just happen, you go, shoot, it's a drop. But then whatever happens down the line, you don't think of it.
Yeah. Man, 4. Wow.
I was surprised by reading that too.
That's a lot. But that's how good this Chiefs offense is.
Truly.
They're better this year than the last 3 years if you want to go by the actual points per game. There are probably some of the analytical people who are very upset with me going by just points. But that's a lot. That matters. Points per game is a better expectation of your team than, pitcher wins, to be honest with you.
Oh, trust me, I'll agree with you on that.
The Chiefs defense has produced 9 points. Well, technically 8. You don't kick the field goal, but you got the pick 6 by Jalen Watson and then the safety by Frank Clark.
Yeah.
That's your 10 points or 9 points. So the Chiefs offense, let's relax a little bit. They're putting up good numbers. Historic numbers, but 20 drops for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's 2 drops a game.
Yeah, that is not getting help from your receivers.
And not all drops are created equal.
Correct.
I mean, the drop by Kelce against the Colts.
Important.
Chiefs win the game. That drop by Hardman might have cost them 7 points.
It would have kept the drive alive. That was on third down.
The drop by Travis Kelce, the reason why it ended up being a big deal is because it ended up being a turnover. He would have gotten tackled immediately like that. Who knows what happens there? But we know if Hardman just catches it, it's a first down. They got the ball at the 40. Life's completely dead. And that was on 3rd and 14. That was a huge play. So they're averaging over 2 drops a game. So kind of expect that. But they're still putting up 30 points per game are the Kansas City Chiefs. But, man, 06-18. The Patriots. I think defense when I think if defense and the Patriots, or defense and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that they would have 30 points per game for that stretch. That's incredible.
Basically averaging 30 points a game for 12 years is just insane. But that's how good they were.
In 2007, how many did they average?
That's a good question.
Oh, my goodness. They averaged 37 a game.
Goodness gracious. Well, that happens when you're spying on other teams.
Or you have peak Tom Brady, peak Randy Moss on your team.
It's also what happens when you spy on teams. But also is what happens when you have peak Randy Moss and peak Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That helps.
And you run the football pretty well.
Having peak Randy Moss is the important part with Tom Brady because you can just run the throw it up to Randy and let him make a play.
He had 23 touchdowns that year.
That tracks.
And they had Wes Welker.
Yeah. That team was loaded.
And Dante Stallworth.
Yeah.
Dang.
That team was loaded.
Yeah. It helps when you go 38, you can offset some of that.
Yeah.
Like in 2009, they averaged 26 a game, but you're still averaging 32 a game, even though you had 26 that year.
Averages are weird like that. You don't think about them sometimes, but one good year can skew the whole sample size.
Ben Jarvis Green Ellis had 1,000-yard rushing season.
Ah, good old Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
That's incredible. That really, really
Man
is.
with 4 names.
The law firm.
Yeah.
God, the Patriots have had just some
New idea for a
wild-
list. NFL players whose names sound like a law firm.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah. Dominic Rogers-Cromartie.
Yes. Yeah, that is a fact. Like, I don't even remember the Stephen Ridley era for the Patriots.
I definitely remember Stephen Ridley.
You do?
I don't.
I don't either.
I definitely don't remember Stephen
That was
Ridley.
2011.
Okay.
Who'd they have in 2012?
Eventually we'll hit the LeGarrette Blunt years, but I think it was like 2015.
Little Danny Woodhead.
Now Danny Woodhead.
Coming up next, everyone loves the list. Chicken Sandwich Edition.
Hi, I'm Nick McCart at Blue Dot.
Everyone loves the list. Topic today: chicken sandwiches. National Chicken Sandwich Day. What do you got?
Number 4 for me, Burger King's chicken sandwich, the new one they rolled
Chiking.
out. Those are good. I'm
Okay.
not a fan of the hoagie version, but those ones, they're very good. Not elite, not top tier, but one I would grab if I wanted to enjoy a chicken sandwich and all I had to run was Burger King.
Number 4 for me, the Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich.
Okay.
Fantastic bird on a sandwich. I like that. Number 4, Wendy's spicy chicken Sammy.
That's a good call. Number 3 for me, it might be lower than what other people think it should be, but this is where it's at for me. Number 3 is a Chick-fil-A regular chicken sandwich. Not spicy, just the regular chicken sandwich. It's 3. It's good. Not stellar, but still good.
Number 3 is the OG. It is the one that started it all. It is the Burger King original chicken sandwich.
Jake does enjoy that.
I do, man. You have to say, I want the original chicken sandwich at Burger King.
It is true. You actually have to clarify it that way.
It is the OG on the hoagie bun. It is with mayo and lettuce. It's number 3. It's number 3.
Yeah, I can give that an honorable mention.
Classic.
The originality of it is very nice. Number 2 for me, the Wendy's hot honey chicken sandwich. Delicious.
Never had it.
It's limited time rotation. I think they still have it going right
Okay.
now. Try it sometime. Very good. I enjoy it.
Alrighty. Number 2 and number 1 for me were no questions asked. 1 and 2. And I am going with number 2. Now, here's the thing. I got Raising Cane's chicken sandwich. Now, here's the deal. It's technically not.
It's chicken tenders on a sandwich.
But yeah, does it matter that the 3 tenders are not connected?
No, I don't think so because like
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
like a pulled chicken or a shredded chicken sandwich is a chicken sandwich.
Okay.
If you like a barbecue chicken sandwich, but it's just shredded smoked chicken, that's still a chicken sandwich. I just need chicken on a sandwich format.
Okay.
So I think that counts.
The only difference is they're not connected.
Yeah, it's just chicken tenders instead of a chicken patty. Like
Yeah.
still chicken sandwich.
So
I feel you.
I gave that one number 2.
I get the same thing at Cane's ever since I started having it.
Yeah.
It doesn't change.
I mean, you don't get the chicken sandwich. You
No.
just get the chicken. You don't want it in sandwich form.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Number 1 for me was very easy. Because it's fantastic. It's terrible for my body, but it's great and beautiful and tastes fantastic. It's Popeye's chicken sandwich. The Popeye's original chicken sandwich. When they rolled that baby out and everyone was getting it, the lines were backed up, there was a reason. It is fantastic.
My number 1, because I love both of them. I love Raising Cane's. Chicken sandwich is great. I mean, I mix it up every now and then. I get sandwich or not. It is the spicy chicken sandwich from Popeyes.
You go spicy, I go regular, but they're still
Yeah.
good, man.
Yep.
They're so good.
That is my top 4. Hit us up, Big O Tires text line 785-272-94 from the Big O Tires text line. Popeyes. It is. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo. Back in on Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton. Thank you so much for joining us. What is going on with Josh Allen? Real quick. He did not appear in the portion of practice today that the media could be at, though he was seen with a sleeve on his right arm. Dawson Knox says he's optimistic. He's a dog. That's a great word for him because he's going to be in that training room 24/7 doing anything and to get back on the field. From what I can tell, he's in a pretty good mood. But he was not practicing and had a sleeve on his arm. We'll have to wait and see what occurs this week. Earlier today, Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo met with the media. So did Juju Smith-Schuster. Here is what Eric Bieniemy, though, had to say.
Hope all is well with everyone. Feels good coming off a gritty team victory. Thought our guys did a heck of a job of just persevering through adversity. And I'm talking about everyone that had a Chief uniform on. And now it's a new week and a new challenge. So with that said, I'm all ears.
Most of the time the adjustment is to a blitz, but how do you think that just you guys as an offense, particularly Patrick, have adjusted to teams not blitzing you guys?
You know what? I'll say this from a personal viewpoint. I think we've adjusted well. Just like I discuss each and every week, those guys on the other side of the ball get paid too. I thought Coach Vrabel and his whole entire defensive staff did a hell of a game. That front that they have is very, very special. I shouldn't say the front seven. They do an outstanding job of getting after the quarterback. They create a lot of pressure with those guys. But I thought our guys gritted out a great team victory. And I'm not talking just about offense. I'm talking about offensively, defensively, and special teams. I thought it was a great team win. I thought it was a great character win. It's not anything that you do perfect, but we found a way, and that's all that matters.
Does it add a wrinkle to your game plan when you're watching teams that typically do blitz, knowing that's probably not what you're going to see on Sunday?
Well, each week we go into a game with a contingency plan because everyone seems to have a different outlook on how they're going to prepare and play the Chiefs. So we always go into a game plan with a thought process on what we think they're going to do, but also understanding that at any given moment they could change up, the perception of what we've seen on tape. So we just make sure that our guys are prepared regardless, whether they're blitzing or not. We want them to make sure that there's a contingency plan. They understand every which way that we want to attack.
Y'all were able to get 500 yards. This is no doubt nitpicking a little bit, but how do you get the run game going? What's been the problem?
We got to run it. We got to invest in it, meaning that we just can't run it a few times and expect success. Just like I just discussed, this front seven was very, very impressive. Those guys did a hell of a job. But it's just like anything that you say, like when you're pounding concrete and you're using that hammer, it's not going to break the first few times you utilize it, correct? It's going to take a while. So we need to find out if we can run it. But on top of that, we have to consistently invest in it. So I got to do a better job. As a staff, we have to do a better job. That way we're giving our guys up front and those backs an opportunity to make it happen.
Coach, yesterday Patrick was discussing in overtime that 4th and 1 situation. He went over the sidelines, was talking to you, was talking to Coach. Before the decision was made, what do you typically want to hear as far as input before you make your decision if you are going to go for it or you make the call to go for it?
Well, believe it or not, those discussions are handled prior to that moment. So we know exactly what we're thinking and what we want to do. Those are situations that we prepare for. On top of that, we have conversations with the quarterbacks the night before that meeting. And, in case we're in this situation, what's your call? And we'd sit and discuss. And so those things are already mapped out. So you always got to go into a game with a contingency plan. Hey, if this situation comes up, how do we want to handle this?
Coach, with that being said, how concerned are you about McCole if he ends up not going? I know it's next man up, but what would that adjustment look like for you guys?
Well, let me just say this. First and foremost, I never discuss injuries. Our training staff will handle that. But I know nobody likes to hear the next man up, but that's the attitude mindset that we take because our coaches do an outstanding job of preparing everyone, all right, to be at their best when their best is needed. We're coaching our starters to be the starters, but on top of that, we're coaching the next man to be ready to play. So that's our job of making sure in case someone is not ready and they can't play, that the next man is ready to go out and perform.
Coach, what do you think you've seen so far on tape here of the Jags? The coach said yesterday they look like they've been fighting through every game and really battling. What are you seeing from the defense so far?
This is a very, very good defense. And I'll tell you what, and these guys got some great athletes out there. They're very, very good up front. It seems like each and every week I come to this podium, I'm talking about that damn defensive line. And these guys are another crew. They're very good. And they got a couple of guys that have been drafted high, but they play hard. They play fast. They fly around to the ball. They got some nice young secondary players. This team is better than what their record states, okay? Obviously, they're young, But this is one of those games, if you take it for granted, you'll find yourself looking up at the scoreboard and you'll be down a whole lot. So our job is to make sure that we're handling and conducting our business from play one to the end to that last whistle.
Couple more. I know Kadarius is probably still swimming in the playbook right now, but this is kind of going off what Haley asked about McCall. He's a guy that seems like he has kind of a similar skill set. He can do some of those jet sweeps and things like that. Is that something that he could conceivably do once he gets his feet under him?
Well, if I told you everything that he can do, I'd be letting the cat out the bag, right? Let's just say this, all right? We're coaching all our guys to go out there and making sure that they can be at their best when their best is needed. So whatever role that he needs to wear, whatever hat that he needs to wear, hell, we need him to go play quarterback, him, McCole, Clyde, any of them. They'll go out and do the best that they can do.
That is what Eric Bieniemy had to say to the media today. What about Steve Spagnuolo and his defense? Talks about Trent McDuffie, Colin Saunders, gets into a lot of different discussions, including weather. Here is what Spagnuolo had to say today.
I just got asked, I was talking to Tony and Jim Nancy got asked it. I don't know, I forget how they questioned it, but do you think it's good that Jacksonville's coming up here and it's going to be cold? I hope it's an advantage, but who knows? Sometimes I worry about our new guys that have only played in warm weather. And then we get a first cold game here, but we'll see how that works out. With that, I'll open it up.
Speaking of new guys, how do you feel like McDuffie did?
Yeah, I was just talking about Trent. I thought he did a really good job, Adam. You know, I say this all the time, that sometimes corners don't get any recognition when they're doing exactly what you want them to do, right? They're over there pressed and the quarterback doesn't throw it there. But, you know, he had two really good plays where he was hip to hip on a 9 route. And the other thing I thought he did a really good job of, him, LJ, and Jalen all had a shot at it, is in those situations they were looking for the football because we know when you don't look, the yellow flag tends to come out. So that helps us a little bit. But I thought they did a nice job.
You had Josh Williams as your third guy. I know there was an injury thing with Watson as the game went on, but
yeah,
why him instead of Watson?
Well, we had to go one way or the other, right? And the plan was to have Josh begin, and then it was in the second or third series, Jalen was going to be that guy. So there was a rotation in there, no matter what happened in the game.
I know this was last week, but when the second half and overtime, what clicked for you guys to keep them to just like one first down? What happened?
Yeah, you talking about in the second half?
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you, we spoke at halftime and knew that it was really 2 runs and a boot pass that it was the explosive passes that kind of led to them getting their points. And we always talk about eliminate explosive passes. And on a number of those, or on those particular 3, it was simple, fundamental, getting out of a gap. And then the pass play was simply eyes on a man, lost eyes, and he's wide open. So we just got together and said, if we just do those things better, then we can play defense better. And that's what they did. They rolled with it, kept the intensity and the attitude of playing attitude defense really good in the second half, and it turned out pretty good.
For Trent to get his first action back in since the first game of the year, is it a little bit helpful to not have someone for 68 passes or something?
Yeah,
You guys had to do. I mean, there weren't as many reps for him out there.
Yeah, it was 16 passes, something. It was limited. I guess in some ways, but I mean, look, you got to get involved in the run too, and I thought Trent did a pretty good job of that. And we had those guys in a little bit of man, and sometimes when you're in man and that receiver's cracking or he's blocking somebody, you got to transition from man to being a run defender. And then there was a couple instances where I thought Trent did a really good job of that. So there were some things, even though it wasn't all pass, that we were happy with what he did.
That was the first time you've seen Jacksonville in a while.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that quarterback and also the running back as well?
Yeah, listen, I think they knew exactly what they were doing when they kind of upgraded him to being the guy. I mean, 3 straight games over. Yeah. 3 straight games over 100. I've always thought the quarterback was really good from back in his college days. Now, I didn't see a lot of him last year, obviously. And I got a lot of respect for Doug. I think they're doing what they really feel like they need to do with the talent they have. I think the system, they're getting a feel for who they are, kind of like what I talk about all the time, right? At the beginning of the year, trying to figure out what you have and what you're going to use and what plays you're going to run. I think they've figured it out, and now they're rolling. I mean, you put the tape on, and a lot of the games early in the game, they're running right down the field. They did against the Giants, they did against other people, and they're putting points on the board. There's a lot of talent there. In a lot of ways, this will be a tougher test than last Sunday was. I mean, we were a little fortunate in that Ryan Tannehill didn't play, obviously, right? That's an experienced quarterback, but this group is pretty good.
Steve, it's easy for us to look at sacks as a marker of whether a guy had a good game or not, and Carlos had 1.5.
Yeah.
How would you grade his
No, he played solid. I mean, those are obviously key moments and big plays, and we always want our guys making big plays. They make a big difference in the game, right? That's a overstatement, right? You get interception, a fumble recovery, a sack. The play that Nick made on the screen was huge. But Carlos made those couple of big plays, and I thought he played solid in the other parts of the game that you don't really see.
He's talked to us a lot about how important getting to 100 sacks for his career is. He's at 99.5.
Yeah.
Has he relayed that to you at all? How important
I
that is?
don't.
Any sense for that otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just figured that's obvious, right? I mean, I'd want to do the same, but I haven't had the conversation with him. And just kind of, I'm a firm believer in you let those things take care of himself, and I think he probably feels the same way. I really hope that he gets it and more. I hope he doesn't get 100 and stop there, right? But I'm happy for him, and I hope that. Listen, I hope he accomplishes that in the next game.
He's a guy who's done it for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Is there something that stands out about him as a pass rusher? You feel like?
His length more than anything. And I do think he's really good at what he does counter-wise. Like he's smart enough to know what tackles take away and then where he's got to go with it next. And then, I don't know what happened offensive line and on that one play, but I'm not sure I'd put a running back on Carlos Dunlap on that one. But sometimes that happens, and we got to win that play.
Alan Saunders is two-prong. How important has he been to you guys? I know he's not injured; he's excused right now. Can he play if he isn't able to work for whatever reason this week?
I'm sorry,
Saunders.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be fine. But I thought he had a real solid game, and certainly at the end, he made some. And we've always felt like we put, Mike Dana goes inside on rushing downs, and we put some ends in there, and George and whatnot. But Colin has always been one of those guys Joe and I have talked about that has quick enough feet where he can be an inside pass rusher for us. But I thought he did really good in the first and second down one game part of it throughout the game.
On the quarterback for Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't had a lot of experience, but what is it about him that you like in his game at this point right now that can be a danger to you guys?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't realize he was 6'6". I mean, he's a big quarterback that when he can sit in there, like most of these big, strong-armed quarterbacks, when he's able to sit in there, he's very accurate, gets the ball where he wants to put it. 17, Ingram, who was with me in New York, I think is a real good tight end route runner. I think they got a really good chemistry together, him and 13. And I just think he's operating in Doug's offense really, really good. And what I didn't know about him is how athletic he is. Like their movement passes with him getting out of the perimeter are way more impressive than I thought they were. My recollection of Trevor Lawrence was really from college, because I'm not putting on Jacksonville tape really unless we're playing him. And I just remember him being, I didn't feel like he ever threw an incomplete pass in college. I mean, I really good, and he's a runner too, right? He does his own options, so got a great deal of respect for him.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Coach, just going kind of off of what Todd said about Trevor Lawrence, I was looking at it last week. I think he only had one pass that was over 20 yards, and the rest of them were kind of within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
When you see a quarterback doing that, everyone's praising him for that amazing game, but do you challenge him to go deep in this game?
Well, it's funny because, Mike Frazier gives me stats in his sheets, and one of them I do remember saying that, now I don't know if they're comparing it to a year ago, but it said, I remember it vividly saying Trevor Lawrence is taking more shots downfield. Now, I don't know if that was compared to last year but so I'm looking and say, okay, this guy, and he does have a strong arm. So what we're not going to do is we're probably not going to take for granted that that's all he does. You know what I'm saying? Some of the things that we'll do will probably encourage him to throw it deep and hopefully have somebody back over there over the top. But I don't know that we'd change the plan drastically just based on that stat.
I was just going to ask, how do you feel like the defense has stepped up? I mean, you were out Willie Gay and then Frank Clark. Just how do you feel like those guys have stepped up to kind of fill those voids?
Yeah, well, when Darius Harris went in there for Willie, I thought he did a real solid job. And we had Malik Herron went in, and Carlos and George and Mike Dana, really are the four guys that played DN last week without Frank. I think we missed some of Frank's, edge speed in those passing situations, and we really want to get him back. But really pleased in what the guys have done. I think it's, it's advantageous sometimes when this happens for guys to get some reps and find out what they are. We found out a lot about Darius Harris, and I think we found a lot about Malik Herring too.
That is what Steve Spagnuolo had to say to the media earlier today. We got a lot more to get to. We'll take a quick time out. Coming up in the 2:00 hour, it is the offensive side of our midway point. Is this going to bother you? It's not the midway point anymore. It's a day later, since you're big into, symmetry.
We're past that.
We're past that. So it's cool now.
It's whatever.
It's whatever. So
once we get past the midpoint, once we're past the midpoint, I can't go back to the midpoint. Like when it was 16 games before, after we played it, I wasn't mad when we started playing 9, 10, 11, 12. Because once we're past the midpoint, it's fine. That's the short point.
Okay.
That's the short.
We'll get a quick timeout. We'll get to over-unders midway through the season and just how close we were. Plus, Thursday night, what is going to be our NFL same game parlay? We'll get to that coming up in the 2:00 hour. Well, the Commanders owner, Dan Snyder, now in trouble with the with the law. The Attorney General of Washington, D.C. is now filing a suit against Snyder, the Commanders, Roger Goodell, and now the NFL. Here's another way to get booted out of the league. Bring in your fellow other owners and the commissioner for something that you did now that they got to deal with. You take their money, you're not able to generate profit, and you force them to deal with your crappy leadership and running of a team. That's another way that you get booted from the NFL as an owner.
Yeah. Also, the NFL didn't help themselves in this because part of the reason that they're in this suit is the fact that they didn't release some of the findings. They made public different reports. The Attorney General's basically said that first report that went in there that kind of sparked this whole thing off. Yeah, he's going to make that public. He's going to force the NFL to say, you show everyone what you found and what you were still hiding. So the NFL, you also are at fault. Goodell, you're at fault on this because you weren't transparent either.
Well, I wonder if this was, hey, we'll keep it quiet, just sell the damn team.
Now the AG just like, nah, we're blowing this up.
Yeah, so
y'all had your chances.
But
you're done.
That's my point. The NFL said, hey, we'll give you a pass if you just sell the team.
Yeah, the NFL, that's what they were saying. And now because he didn't, it got worse.
It ain't good. Coming up, we got lots more to get to, including the over-under midway point. It is the final hour of Mic'd Up on this Thursday. Jacob on, Fulton Caster with you on a chilly Thursday afternoon. We'll get to our NFL Thursday night same game parlay. We'll talk a little Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo's positives, but also negative. We'll get to that coming up to finish up this 2 o'clock hour. As always, hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Hit us up on Twitter at SportsOn580. Very simple. Go to Twitter, search SportsOn580, click the follow button, and on our YouTube page, all of our shows streaming on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search Sports on 580. Very simple, very easy. All of our recaps from all of our high school, KU, K-State, Washburn, Chiefs, all that on our YouTube page, Sports on 580. We started this yesterday, and we'll continue the midway point of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs as they gear up to take on the Jaguars of Jacksonville. But right now, at the midpoint of the season, we are going to take a peek at how close we were expectation-wise for the offensive players. Did the defensive players yesterday. And, I mean, honestly, to give ourselves a pat on the back, 4 of the 5, we were pretty darn accurate. George Karlaftis, very high on Furious George, has a half a sack. We put the over-under at 5.5. Now, he's got a strong second half. He just needs a 2-sack game, Fulton, and we're back in it. That's all he needs, Fulton, is he needs more than double the sacks that he's got right now, and he's right on it. So, therefore, he might be due.
You know, there's a beautiful...
I'm not saying he is due. I'm not saying he is due because he's a rookie. He doesn't really have a background yet for saying he's due.
There's a beautiful element here with the fact that we do these live streams now, and you can, if you go to our YouTube page, you can watch what's happening. Is you all now can see my face and what it looks like when Jake brings up that annoying phrase of "he's due," and just see the anger that begins to flash in the annoyance.
Let's start with the newcomers. We're going to start with the very first one that the Chiefs signed, MVS. All right. We put MVS at 90 targets, 800 yards, 3.5 touchdowns. And because he's a deep ball threat, Fulton wanted to make sure he got in there, a 65.5-yard reception. Right now, MVS targets 39. MVS, we set it at 90. So, not too far off. He didn't get hardly any targets in the game against the Titans. But maybe MVS in another game, maybe we'll get 7 or 8 targets, get back on track. But we have it over under 90 targets. And he's at 40. So pretty close.
Not too far there.
We set MVS over under 800 yards. He's at 381.
Not far off. Almost to the, we just need it at 4.
Pretty much exact there because we played 8 games. Still have 9 games to go. Double it, add a game. He's at 800 yards. So pretty close. We had 3.5 touchdowns.
That's where we're missing the mark.
MVS.
Yet to score.
Not in the red zone or in the end zone. I was hoping he'd catch at least 1, if not 2, deep ball touchdowns by this point.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
As I was hoping for. Now, they didn't throw it down the field much at all against the Titans. They did against the 49ers, and MVS was there. He was good. And that's where he caught his longest pass of the year. I was thinking that ain't going to happen. He ain't going to catch one over 65. Well, he's at 57 is his long.
So we're not far. We're in the realm of possibility.
He's caught 75, 78, 74 his last 3 years. Right now at 57. If I were to say MVS, he hasn't been as good as I would want for what he is, and that's a deep ball guy. I would like a little bit, that takes some time a little bit, and maybe the game against the 49ers, not a whole lot of time to throw the deep ball, to be honest with you, for Mahomes in the game against the Titans. But overall, MVS, pretty much on the mark for everyone except for touchdowns. No touchdowns thus far.
Which can be a little volatile.
Yeah. We'll go now to Juju Smith-Schuster. All right. I've been aboard the Juju train ever since he signed.
That's true. Jake's a day one Juju train rider.
Yes. Juju Smith-Schuster. We had for Juju 6.5 touchdowns. 750 yards, longest touchdown of 59.5, and number of TikToks after a game, 10. Folks, we blew past the number of TikToks after a game. He's been very active on the talk. So that one's already hit. That's going to hit the over. In fact, he might have done multiple TikToks after each game.
Yeah, we're here on that. That was, we could have set the bar higher.
Yes.
We're home, though.
Yeah. Right now, Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 touchdowns. Now we put the line at 6.5.
We're pacing a little bit more for the under, but the over is not out of the realm possibility, especially the way he's picked it up as of late.
He's on pace for 5. We put it at 6.5. And he is getting a lot more targets. He is at 60 targets on the year compared to MVS's 39. So the targets are, he's on pace for over 100 targets. We didn't put a target number in here.
We did not.
But I can tell you this, I would not have put it at 100 targets.
No, I wouldn't have either.
And he's on pace for 120. So he's on pace for a lot of passes headed his way. So 2 touchdowns. Yards, we set it at 750. Should have set it at 1,000 because he is on pace for over 1,000 yards receiving. He's at 582.
Yeah, we're set to blow past that over.
He's been so much better the last 3 games. And in the last 3 games, here's what he has put together. 88, 124, 113. Those are the last 3 games. And targets, he's got 12, 8, and 5. And he had 8 targets against the Raiders, only caught 3 passes. So they're targeting. He is wide receiver number 1, and that is no question he is. Now, longest touchdown for Juju, we put it at 59.5, and the longest touchdown that Juju has had, definitely not 59 yards. His longest reception this year is 53 yards. But I still think there's a chance that 59.5 happens because he's going to get a lot of targets. Maybe he breaks free.
Yeah. We've seen his ability to run after the catch and do some things with that.
The game against Buffalo was the game that he had where he caught the out route, and then that was a 42-yard touchdown. So I think there could be something like that going forward for Juju, but he has definitely hit over on targets, hit the over on yards through the midway point, to the point where, if I were the Chiefs, I'd throw out a number, 3-year extension worth X amount of money. He's not going to do it.
No.
Juju would be stupid to take a deal right now. You got to bet on yourself the final 9 games, because if you do that, he's either wide receiver 1 this offseason or wide receiver 2. So no player is going to say, yeah, I'm going to not go. They're not going to franchise tag him because that would be 20-some million to the cap for 1 year. You're not going to do that. And Juju knows they're not going to do that. That's why he's not going to sign a deal right now. He'll go to the open market. But he's been better than anticipated for the Kansas City Chiefs. Next, we are going to go to McCole Hardman.
The most polarizing man on the offense.
No, I think that's Clyde.
That's actually true.
I think it's Clyde.
It's Clyde.
I think it's Clyde.
It's Clyde.
But McCole Hardman, we said over or under 7.5 touchdowns. Over or under $20 million guaranteed contract. Over under 750 yards, and then over under 100 targets. Now, obviously, one of those we won't know until the end of the year, but we can give an idea if you would get to that. So let's start with the touchdowns. Right now, McCole Hardman has 4 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Now that's 6 touchdowns. That's total. But 4 receiving touchdowns. We have it down at 7.5 receiving touchdowns.
We're on pacing.
He's on pace to get that over. But even if you just say 7.5 touchdowns,
we're definitely on pace.
He's at 6 now. It helps to have 3 touchdowns in a game.
Yeah, that very much helps.
Thank you, San Francisco 49ers, for not figuring out how to defend the jet sweep. But 7.5 touchdowns, he's on pace for that. He is. 750 yards. McCole Hardman right now at 300 yards.
We're a little below pace there.
Pretty close, though. Pretty close. You're on pace for about 650. So it's not far off. The problem is McCole he's either has a really good game or he is a complete no-show. Like no-show against Tampa, no-show against the Colts, but he was good against the Raiders, good against the 49ers, and he was good against Tennessee. Now, granted, we'll point this out, the game against Tennessee, of those 79 yards, he got 50 of them on the last play of the game, in which it didn't count. You know, they tried the old Tyreek Hill against Dallas play, and that was the longest reception of the year.
I will actually say, though, that looked like it had a chance to work.
It did.
It was like, oh, is this? Are we going to get the Hardman version of the Hail Mary? No, it didn't work.
No. So he did have it was 36 yards. Bigger. That's his longest catch this year. Was that catch against
little catch and run?
I believe. Yeah. In the game against the Titans there at the end of the game. Now, we also wanted to look at targets. 100 targets for Mecole Hardman. He is at 34. So he's on pace.
We're real low on that one.
70.
We're real low on that one.
And I think the targets that were intended for Mecole have easily gone to Juju.
Oh, yeah.
No question. That's where Juju's targets. We were wondering, okay, where are the targets coming from for Tyreek Hill? How are we going to distribute them?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, they've all gone to Juju. Because targets for Mecole Hardman are 83 last year. He's on pace for 70 this year. And he had 62 in 2020. Well, Tyreek Hill got all the targets last year along with Kelsey. They basically just given them to Juju and then sprinkling MVS a little bit there. So touchdowns, I don't care that they are the little flips. Somebody's got to get the ball in the end zone. And we know the Chiefs have a hard time getting the ball in the end zone on, first and goal at the 2 or second and goal at the 1 or third and goal at the 1. So you get 6 touchdowns and like low key, he is the touchdown maker.
Yeah, no.
Like Mecole Hardman has gotten his career 18 touchdowns in less than 4 total years.
That's not bad.
A lot of that is jet sweeps, but hey,
man, you get in the end zone.
That's
all matters.
So about half and half with Mecole Hardman. So those are our 3 wide receivers. I'd say we're at a 60% hit miss percentage.
We're not as good as we were defensively.
No.
We might need to be defensive odds makers and bookies, but
Juju, I probably wanted to set it higher if I remember right, but
I think I might have been trying to rein in your expectations.
I've been team Juju for a while.
You have.
I
you care for that.
I have. Let's go to the running back spot.
This certainly won't cause some problems.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, rushing touchdowns, 5.5. Games played, 14. Rushing yards, can he get to 700? Receptions, 40. Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year has got 293 yards. So not quite 700 yards on pace. We're looking at about another 650. He's got 3 touchdowns.
We're pacing there.
He's also got 3 receiving touchdowns.
That's also true.
That's a big, was not expecting that. But he's got 3 rushing touchdowns. So he's on pace for rushing touchdowns. In fact, he'll eclipse that. Rushing yards is pretty close. Games played. He's played in every game.
Yeah, we're so far so good.
That's
there.
A positive,
been healthy.
Positive there. And then receptions at 40. He has had 21 targets, 17 receptions. So pretty close there. This is the closest that we have gotten on an offensive guy in every category. Yards, pretty close. Touchdowns, he's at 3. Playing in the games, that's to be determined. Right now, he's on pace to take that. And then receiving receptions, he's got 17. Overall, yards from scrimmage, 444 yards from scrimmage. So he is roughly around 1,000 yard from scrimmage back right now.
And to put this into even a deeper context, that is with the Chiefs going full running back by committee now. Like, starting running back does not mean anything to this team.
No.
Like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire played in 17% of the snaps against Tennessee. Okay, no one could run the ball, so you just kind of with anybody. But I mean, 17 against Tennessee, 27% against San Francisco when Pacheco became the starter. Even before that, 42, 43, 50. I mean, his most snaps he played was against Tampa when he played 56. That also was his best game when he went 19 for 92. But given the fact that his snap shares and touches are kind of going by the wayside, we're still in a good spot. Because the Chiefs just seem to have fully committed to an idea of just we'll keep switching hands and not really find. And it is what it is at this point. I think they'd be benefited by just picking a guy and going with him to let him get some rhythm. But
I think the guy is Jerick McKinnon, and they don't want to put a ton of wear and tear on him. I think what you're going to see last year, McKinnon in the playoffs. I truly believe that.
And that's fine if that's what they want to do. In the regular season, then either Clyde or Pacheco, pick one and ride him as your main horse.
Our last one we'll get to today, Isaiah Pacheco, the rookie. This one was hard to peg because you didn't know quite what
this was the most of kind of a little bit of a crapshoot here.
Now, Isaiah Pacheco has one rushing touchdown. We had him on pace over under 2.5.
I was like kind of there.
Right. Perfect right there. You know, can he get 2 more touchdowns in the next 9 games? We also wanted to see just how many all-purpose yards. Well, right now, yards from scrimmage, he's got 210. All right. Kick returns, he's got 415. So he's at 600 yards. So he might get 700 yards just in kick returns.
Well, he's at 415 kick return yards. He's at 627 all-purpose.
Yes.
So, I mean, and you're right. He might break this just on the kick returns, but we're very much pacing the all-purpose yard spot.
Yes. So that is one thing when it comes to the he'll hit the all-purpose over 700 yards. I didn't think he would return this many kicks. I really didn't.
Yeah, he's that return of the most kicks and has the most kick return yards in the entire NFL.
Yeah. Now, his kick return yardage is not ideal at 21 and almost 22 yards. You'd like a little bit more there. And then his kick return for a touchdown, will he return one for a touchdown? I don't see that happening. In fact, returning for a touchdown, I think there's only been one this year in the entire NFL.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And it's the Cowboys guy. I think that's
it. Did Turpin get one in the regular season? We're about to find out. I'm going to find this.
I think there's only been one in the regular season.
Just give me a minute. I'll find this. I will hunt this down. There it is. There's the good old kick and punt return stats I was looking for.
Yeah, there's been one touchdown, I believe.
There has been 0 kick and punt return touchdowns in the regular season.
Really? I thought there was one.
Nope. Unless Pro Football Reference is wrong. There's been no, well, at least, sorry, that was fun. Yes, there has been one kick return touchdown. They were showing that blame Pro Football Reference for a bad interface that showed me. I thought the show were all touchdowns.
So I would like for you to rescind your statement.
You were wrong, though. It was not the Cowboys.
Can you say I was right, though, that there was a kick return?
You are right that there was a kick return.
Thank you.
You were wrong on who it was. It was Devin Duvernay for the Baltimore.
Oh, yeah. First game of the year, wasn't it? Or like second game of the year?
I think it was like the 3rd or 4th. You might be right, though. Once again, let's see. Because this is even easier. 2nd game of the year. Look at you. You know what, Jake? I'm proud of you.
I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge.
I don't know if I go that far. Do you know when? No. We'll pin this down before we get back to Isaiah here. Do you know when that kick return was in the game?
It was opening kickoff.
Yeah, you're right. Right. See, that I remembered once I realized it was Devin Duvernay. Once it was that, I remember because I was listening to the game on the radio, and they were like, Devin Duvernay takes the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. Good job, Jake.
Thank you.
I gave you credit.
Thank you.
I gave you credit.
So Isaiah Pacheco for an over under 25 receptions, as we have easily found out. He ain't catching any passes this year.
Boy, we're getting taken to the cleaners on that under. Yeah. But any of you out there that were taking that under, we're just going to get taken to the cleaners on that.
You You never know with rookies.
You don't.
know.
And
He's
there were
got-
just reports of him being used in pass,
Yeah.
and even the preseason he's being used, and so we had hope. But the problem is he's not throwing to any running backs not named Jerick McKinnon.
He's got Clyde's got 17 receptions.
They all came like the first 4 games.
But he's Pacheco has 3 targets, 3 receptions, 43 yards.
Yeah, that ain't
Or
going.
13 yards, beg your pardon.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So he's got 200 yards rushing, 13 yards receiving, 210 yards total from scrimmage. So those are some of the offensive skill players. I would say Juju has exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
I would say Clyde is right there.
Yeah.
What we expected of Clyde. I don't think that's a huge deal. I think McCole Hardman is what we were projecting. I mean, he's got 6 touchdowns on the year. That's what he did, I think MVS for me a little bit below expectations.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah Pacheco, I mean, we thought there was a chance he could end up starting.
Yeah, and he's technically moving into that role, but as we've quickly learned that means nothing for this team. Like, he has officially started the last 2 games, and he's barely been used.
And he had 5 carries against Tennessee, 8 carries against San Francisco, for a combined total of 13 carries for 48 yards.
Yeah, like he is starting.
So, but overall, these 5 guys who are role players. Like, tomorrow we're going to get to the big dogs.
Yeah, tomorrow's the little cleanup around here. Those are the studs, the guys whose jobs it was to be big impact guys.
Yeah. So we'll have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. Like, those are the guys that we're going to get to tomorrow and just see how close we are with the guys that have to perform, that needed to perform. Nick Bolton, and
Justin Reed and Harrison Butker will also be getting their touch. Just guys that have the bigger roles in the roles that you expect a little bit more out of.
Coming up next, Fulton, start getting your same game parlay ready to go. We got to take down Dan and Brent. We'll get to our Thursday night same game parlay.
Your
It is the start of week 10. We got Thursday night football. It's a dandy. Atlanta and Carolina.
We're going to have a barn burner, folks.
In Charlotte. And how about you start off NFL week 10 right with a no sweat same game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or you already have an account, you'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same game parlay doesn't hit. NFL same game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. How about PJ Walker over passing yards? Use that big rocket of an arm. DJ Moore anytime touchdown. How about Donta Foreman over rushing yards? Build your own or choose one of the popular same game parlays pre-built in your FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with a no sweat same game parlay. Just sign up with the promo code Jake if you don't already have an account. If you do have a FanDuel account, you're all set. Just sign in, see what you've got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years or older and present in the state of Kansas. 3 legs minimum, 1 bet required. Refund issued as a non-withdrawable free bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem, getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. All right, Fulton, we're behind by just $18.
Not bad.
To them schmoes at 580 Sports Talk.
Oh, come on. They're our friends. We don't have to call them schmoes.
Yes, we do. Alrighty. What do you got, my friend?
All right, we're going. This is an Atlanta Falcons fan account for the next 24 hours.
Dang, I'm with you. This is not good.
I got Marcus Mariota over 154.5 passing yards.
Okay.
Which, fun fact, last time they played Carolina, he had 253.
Yeah.
I got Tyler Algier over 35.5 rushing yards. Even since Cordero Patterson was back last week, Algier has still had 99 yards. He's ripped off a couple big runs. He also had 39 when he last played the Panthers. And then we have Kyle Pitts over 35.5 receiving yards because him and Drake London get all the targets. I'm not betting a touchdown scorer. Those two volatile. I'm not betting spreads or money. I am betting purely on these 3 events that would net you off your $10 bet a cool $47. That's what we're doing tonight.
I have no idea what to expect from Carolina.
Neither do I. That's why I'm with Atlanta. I at least can kind of know what Atlanta does.
I am going Atlanta to cover the 2.5.
Okay, I feel like that should happen.
So I'm going. One of mine is going to be Atlanta covering the 2.5. So I gotta go with that one.
Okay.
I'm with you on Kyle Pitts. I am going to go over on Kyle Pitts receiving yards at 35.5. I think that one.
You're right here with me. That's how we do it.
I'm with you on that one.
That's how we do it. Teamwork here. Teamwork.
Yes. I think he will get it done. I'm going to go alternate receiving yards. Drake London.
Okay. What are we thinking on Drake?
I think he's going to have a game.
Okay.
So
we're betting on Drake to have a game.
40.
Okay.
So that's plus 140.
Oh, that helps. That helps the money we're about to make here.
Yep.
Scratch.
And that, you know what? We will go DJ Moore. You know, we're going big.
Oh boy.
We're going big.
Okay.
Going big. DJ Moore, 50 yards receiving. So
Carolina's no one else get the ball to, but they also just don't move the ball.
So I've got for mine Atlanta to cover 2.5.
Yep.
Kyle Pitts over 35 receiving yards. Drake London over 40 yards. That's an alternate line because I think he's going to have a big game. And DJ Moore, 50 yards receiving. You know what?
No, Jake.
Yep. If we're going to go Drake London and Kyle Pitts, let's get Let's do it. Over Marcus Mariota passing at 154.
So let's say if right there, if they both go over, that's 90 yards. It's almost 100 right there.
That's what I got.
All right.
You ready for this?
How much are you winning on that, baby?
Plus 1,800.
Oh, mama.
And I'm liking it.
Hey, man, I'm sitting here now. That's plus 470. I can't win, though, so I got to go a little safer here.
But that's the beauty of this, Fulton. It's free bets back. You get 2 chances
I know,
to
you
win.
do. That is the beauty of the no sweat same game parlay that FanDuel does offer here, is we can go a little crazy. But I need to win, man. I did for anyone, and I know no one enjoying the program right now probably cares about this fact. I did finally win a bet for the first time in a while last week.
And then you
It felt
doubled
good.
down.
I did, and I won again. I was cooking. And then I immediately stopped cooking.
You're on
because of the Buffalo Bills.
Heater. So
darn you, Buffalo.
My $10.
Yes, what is your $10 net you?
It's gonna get me 180 bones.
That would really put us back up in that lead.
Boom. Got him.
Man, combine that with my 47. We have that's a nice little payday between us.
That's happening.
You're carrying the load here, but
it's happening. We're doing it.
Man, imagine if both of us hit and neither Brendan nor Dan hit. Imagine.
I like it.
We'd go from down 18 to like up 170.
Yep.
Probably a lot more than that because my math is actually, we'd go up almost 200. Because you and I together on this evening are going to get like 250.
Yep. I'm feeling it.
We're good. We're going to win today.
Yep.
We're winning the day. We are winning that dang day.
Winning that tang day.
Yeah, there you go.
That is our same game parlays coming up tonight. Coming up next, Steve Spagnuolo. Great at one thing, horrible at another. We'll get to that next. Finishing up this edition of Mic'd Up, coming up tomorrow, we're going to talk a little college football. Chris Level on all things Texas Tech, KU Texas Tech. We'll talk with John Morse, a little K-State Baylor. We'll preview the Chiefs and the Jags. Go around the NFL and our final mid-season over-unders. We'll get to that coming up today or tomorrow here on Mic'd Up. But the Chiefs defense right now has a type. All right? They have a type.
They do.
All right? They are the slow starter, strong finisher. They are like that 400-meter runner where they don't get out of the blocks well. They don't. And around the first turn, you're like, okay, well, we got lane 6 and lane 7, lane 5, and the Chiefs are in lane 3. They're not even in the picture. Then all of a sudden, once you get past the backstretch, around the third corner, and then you see them, you're like, whoa, what is happening? And then down the home stretch, killing it. Absolutely killing it. And then they end up winning the race. You didn't think so, but they did. And that's what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing right now. According to the numbers, the Chiefs are bad out of the gate, but are incredible at the end of the game, which means Steve Spagnuolo and the defense do a much better job of adjusting to what the offenses are doing than vice versa. The offense is adjusting to what the Chiefs are doing. And if you look, a lot of the times when we talk about numbers, all right, look at the numbers. What do the numbers say? Well, first half against the Titans, they're getting their ass kicked. Second half,
yes, they were
dominated. You want to take that game out of the mix because you had Fulton playing quarterback for the Titans? All right, let's throw that away because they only threw 15 passes and they didn't throw a pass to a wide receiver. And when they did, Chris Conley dropped it. Let's go to the 49ers. Chiefs down. They come back. Defense played much better in the second half. Much better in the second half. Played very well. When you look at the Raider game, down 17-0. Second half, hold them to essentially 6 points. The Titans game, same thing. Or excuse me, the Colts game, the Bucks game. They have normally been slow starters, but they've made the adjustments and got the job done in the second half. Same thing on the micro level. First down. They are not good on first down. The Chiefs offense and the Chiefs defense are not good on first down, especially against the Titans. Whew, they were bad. But then on third down, the Chiefs much better on defense. Down 1, not so much, giving up too much yardage. Down 3, they are much better on third down. So just in general, at the beginning of the game, giving up a lot more points than they should in the first quarters. Much better in the second half. Now, I would prefer my team to make adjustments and get it done. But it ain't great that they're getting whooped up front early because either one, defensively they're not ready, or number 2, it's a bad game plan. Like that's it. Either
that's where you're at, really.
It's a bad game plan. Like, wow, what we thought was going to work isn't. Let's make changes to it. But that is something that is a gigantic positive. You always will be in the game because of the Chiefs offense. Always. So If it's 10-10 at the end of the first quarter, so be it. Like it was in basically every game this year. But in the second half, defensively, they have been much better. I would rather have the adjustment defense because I want you to play well in the second half. Can you get the stops at the end of the game? And for the most part, outside of 2 instances, one of them was because Chris Jones said a naughty word.
Called someone a doo-doo melon.
Yep. Said your feet stink, apparently. And they flagged him. That's still the most insane penalty on the year. Flagging for words in an NFL game. The stuff that is said in an NFL game. And they flagged that. Incredible. And then the game against the Bills. I am not going to fault the team who gave up points at the end of the game against, at that point in time, the best offense in the NFL. One of the best offenses in the NFL. They're going to do that to a lot of
They
people.
held Buffalo to 24 overall. That was their job. Let's hold Buffalo to about 24, and then the offense just needs to come through.
So I like the Kansas City Chiefs. The fact that they can make adjustments and get the job done. But it'd be nice if they started out a little bit quicker.
It would be helpful. It would be beneficial. And it's the jokes that have been making the rounds are Steve Spagnuolo for years, his defenses start the year off slow, then they really come together by the end of the year. And now that just part of him just seems to really be seeping into everything. And I will say this, you would like a more complete defense, but if you had to take one or the other, you take this, because the reverse is Baltimore. The reverse to this kind of defense is Baltimore. And look at where they are and the things they have to deal with, at least when it comes to standings and record, because their defense can't finish a game.
Correct.
Like almost every loss they have is because their defense can't finish a game. Whereas the Chiefs, their losses are actually because the offense couldn't get the job done. Because the offense made a mistake. Which, if you're the Chiefs, you would like to not lose games, obviously. But if you're losing because the offense screws up, that's almost more acceptable because that's the part of the ball you feel most confident will always get things right in the end. You know? You lose to Indianapolis because the offense completely just checks out for the day. They haven't really done that since, and it's kind of an aberration. You lose to Buffalo because trying to get a last-minute drive to go, Patrick Mahomes throws an interception. That's actually rarely going to happen. So it's a weird thing, and I can get why it would definitely be frustrating to some levels of the fact that, this defense always seems to start and you feel a little bit like they're going to be in a hole, or just like you're watching bad teams or lesser offenses. Because, the Jags on Sunday, the Jags might score 7 points on their opening drive. And that's going to make every Chiefs fan feel annoyed because you're like, man, you're letting Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne and Christian Kirk go down there and do that to you. Come on. Well, yeah, but give it a quarter and they'll be fine. It's the thing, if you develop a little bit of patience with it as well, it becomes a much more tolerable thing. And it's such a weird thing to experience. And my best explanation for it is just these are guys and players that need some time to settle into games. They need to settle in a little bit to start hitting harder and wrapping some things up and all that. And I don't know if there's a fix that'll make them not do this, but I at least will take the fact that they finish strong. But I'm also with you of the simple fact of the playoffs is where this type of defensive styling gets dicey. Is you don't want to go down unnecessarily early in a playoff game. Because then you're really tempting fate. Can you come back in time and really settle in?
Chiefs defensively have been very good in the second half. That's what matters. The Ravens' point is a fantastic one. They're like the inverse of the Ravens.
They really are, because they start games so well, but they can't finish, and it's why they lose. And who knows? Maybe this will just completely become its perfect full circle, and the Chiefs' second half defense of the year won't have the same issue, and they'll be strong fully throughout because it's the second half. Now they need to get stronger.
We'll get a timeout coming up next. We'll wrap things up with the mic drop. Alrighty, Fulton. What is your mic drop?
It's very simple, Jake. Kansas Jayhawks play another basketball game tonight, and that's always fun. If you have a chance, go over to Lawrence, go down Fieldhouse. It's a great time. If you ever have a chance for one of these non-con games, those are the truly, really entertaining atmospheres because also it's a bit more chiller. You don't sometimes have to deal with, like, you know, fans that other people might not like and all that. Those are fun times. It's also just a fun atmosphere in general. And if you can't go there, you know, it's playing place in Lawrence to check it out or watch the game online. But KU plays games in North Dakota State tonight. It should be fun. And we get a little more about Kansas basketball and just in general. I enjoy college basketball being back.
If you want to go to a KU basketball game and experience Allen Fieldhouse, granted, KU taking on North Dakota State or Omaha
might have some juice you're looking for,
but these are the games to go to.
Yeah,
I mean, you can get in now for like you can get an upper deck seat for $20.
Yeah, and if you're sitting high up in Allen Fieldhouse, it's still a good spot. Like even high up in Allen is still a good time. Just get to experience the energy, the atmosphere, thing like that. If you don't care about who they're playing, use one of these low-level non-con games to go over there and experience it. Trust me, it is there. There's nothing else like it in college sports. A basketball game at Allen Fieldhouse is something else.
Well, it's a lot of fun.
It's amazing.
It's a lot of fun. Jayhawks 24.5-point favorite tonight. What do you like?
I think they'll cover. I think 24.5.
24.5. They did not cover the 35.
I don't like 30-point spreads. They're too big.
That's a lot. K-State did cover.
They did. Good cats.
Good teams win.
Great teams cover.
K-State right now, better team than KU. Right now, the Chiefs defense is very good in the second half. That's what I want. Start slow, finish strong. Spags, keep doing what you're doing, making those adjustments. We got a lot more to get to tomorrow on a Red Friday. If you missed anything, head to our website, 580wibw.com. Very simple, very easy. We got a lot more to get to coming up tomorrow at noon. Have yourselves a great evening.